Hi, I've been climbing with the Apple Watch Ultra for over a year now. From bouldering to trad to sport climbing, even ice climbing recently and big days out in the mountains. And I have quite a bit of an experience to share with you about how the Apple Watch Ultra actually handles climbing, being able to switch between outdoors, weekend warrior, climbing at the gym to day-to-day life. This review is going to be relevant for both the Series 1 and the Series 2. I don't personally think that the difference in capabilities and technology actually matters when it comes to climbing. So if you're on the fence on either or, this is the video for you. First things first, I want to talk about durability. So I've had the previous versions of an Apple Watch. For example, this is a Series 4. This is the one I've used before I got the Apple Watch Ultra, and as you can see, the screen couldn't really hold up against the rock and against climbing. I believe this is because this is the aluminum version, which means that this is the normal style glass that they've used. If you look at the OG Apple Watch that I have here as well, which I have climbed with before, you can see that the screen is actually alright. This leads me to believe that the big difference here in durability when it comes to the screen is actually the sapphire glass being used on the original stainless steel version, as well as the new Apple Watch Ultras. So what I like about the Apple Watch Ultra is that it's built like a freaking tank, alright? I climbed Crags with it, again bouldering. I didn't actually bash it against the rock intentionally, but definitely scratched against it and everything was fine. The other thing that's quite cool about this compared to the other versions is the screen brightness. So on the Series 1 Apple Watch Ultra, I believe it's 2000 nits, and in the new Series 2, I think it's 3000. I have to say that this one is really bright enough. I've never had any issues with it on very bright sunny days, and it's great. And actually using this as a flashlight as well from time to time when needed, it did perfectly well. Okay, on to our next topic, which is connectivity. So I think a big difference on an Apple Watch by comparison to something like a Garmin or the other sport trackers is the fact that this one actually has an eSIM inside, which means you basically have an iPhone on your wrist. So I can leave the house, I can go for a run or go for a hike without taking my phone with me or not needing to pull out my phone and still receive messages and calls and being able to respond even on WhatsApp. Even though you don't have an app for it dedicated, you still can respond to it. The big screen really allows for nice typing, whether that's like swipes or just tapping. It works pretty well. And I've been using it quite a lot, and to me that was quite a big selling point, again, in terms of that transition from into crag climbing and to the day-to-day stuff. I think one of my most used feature is actually going through the barriers, going in and out of the tube in public transportation here in London, as well as some other kind of like nice life stuff. So for example, my Mac can just open up automatically, being close to it, unlock your phone can unlock the watch as well. It is a big thing about being part of an Apple ecosystem. At the end of the day, you do need an iPhone for it. But I've actually been using my iPhone also to take videos, and for me, it's kind of like a nice all-around package. The next category I want to talk about is the tracking and health. So Apple Health was pretty great. You can track your sleep. You can track basically everything from heart rate to elevations as well, where you are. Again, pretty useful when you're out in the mountains. So these are really good stuff. The one downside I would say with the health tracking is that it doesn't actually give you actionable information. So as good as it is and as great as it is as at testing and calculating and seeing how you perform, you do need to use third-party apps to get some further insights, which leads me on to the next section, which is the apps that I've been using with the Apple Watch to take it a step further. So the first one I want to talk about is obviously for climbing, an app called Redpoint. So Redpoint allows you to log every type of climbing on every type of grades as well, whether that'll be, again, bouldering, so you can use the font grade, you can use the V grades, and for sport climbing, you can use any grading system that you'd like. Same for ice climbing, trad climbing, what have you. So Redpoint is great. The free versions allow you to do all of that and log an actual workout with heart rate, etc. It also automatically detects when you finish a climb, and it can automatically log that climb for you based on your last grade. Quite smart thing, and it's great that it's actually free. There is a paid version of it as well, which I believe gives you some training programs that you can build with that as well. But I'm not using that. I mainly use it just to log my ascents and the grades, and then log it as a workout, and then again can be synced to Strava as well if you're interested in that. Now, the next app that I use quite a lot is an app called Athletic. So Athletic actually takes the information from Apple Health and basically puts it together into how ready you are and how adapted you are to your training program. So it'll tell you what's your exertion level, how much recovery you've had, and based on your sleep, advise you how much should you push your training today, and you can also look at the training before. This one is a subscription model. I pay for it yearly. It's not for everyone. It's really if you want to get geeky about the data and the stats, definitely not a mandatory one. The last app that kind of completes the package is an app called Workout Outdoors. The main use case for that one for me is the ability to customize certain activities, especially outdoors when I need to download the GPX map directly to be used. So not specifically for climbing, but if you do plan a big day out in a mountain and you have a GPX file that you can then download and track the route and follow it on your wrist, it does come in quite handy. I think Work Outdoors is £5 one-time payment, so that's definitely not a biggie. It's not a subscription or anything like that, but that type of functionality does come out of the box for a lot of other sport tracking watches. The battery life is a bit of a point to talk about, I believe. While it is much better than the normal Apple Watches, it's still, I can go for like 2 days with it, with like a climb and a workout each day, which is fine. For my use case, it's great. Even when I go out on big days in the mountain, it will normally be no longer the 2 days. So for me, that is enough without charging it. For some people, some of you out there that do ultra marathons for like 3 days, etc., you might need longer battery life. Then this might not be for you. So keep that in mind. For my use cases as a weekend warrior, again, that transition between being at home, commuting, being at a crag, coming back, not needing to have different type of watches for each and every activity, and even going out to dinner in the evening, because that might be a personal point, but I think this one looks great. Like, honestly, this is great. Okay, so with that leads us to the last point, which is what I actually hate about the Apple Watch Ultra. So it's not the watch itself, believe it or not, it's actually the strap. So when this one came out, it was marketed as the Alpine Loop, marketed as the one for climbing, the one for mountaineering. This is complete utter nonsense, I must say. It's almost impossible to actually adjust this without needing to really put your hand down and then try and do it with just one hand. It's really, really difficult. Now, I'm the kind of person that when I work out, I like things to be a bit tighter. So then it fits here, above the bone of the wrist. So when you're climbing and you're mantling, it doesn't get in the way. That applies for any watch as well. And if you're crack climbing or something like that and you're wearing gloves, or you want your watch a bit further out, again, you would want something that you can adjust quite quickly. Sadly, this one again doesn't fit the bill. It's really fiddly to adjust this. It's impossible to do in the dark and not something that I would recommend. I think the strap that I would actually go with would be the trail loop, because you can just adjust it easily with Velcro, and that's quite easy. But when it comes to the Alpine Loop, I think it's mainly for looks, and this one used to be orange and now it's actually brown. It's impossible to keep this one clean either. But that's not the one I would recommend anyway. So yeah, to conclude this video, I think the Apple Watch Ultra is a great choice for climbing, especially if you're the kind of person that looks for something that will fit the bill for your commuting life, to connectivity when it comes to being able to leave the house without a phone on you, being able to pay, being able to go through barriers, public transportation, etc. And at the same time, log all your activities when it comes to climbing and outdoors. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have one yourself or if you're thinking of getting one. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you very soon. Have a good one.